RNS News, putting the real gov in government. Today's host, Justyce and Nia, bringing you this week's top stories.
This week, President Obama and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu met at the White House, mainly to win over American progressives. When he visited earlier this year in March, he didn't meet with the president and only lobbied in Congress in opposition to the Iran deal, creating a bad public image for himself. This recent visit is mainly to reshape his public image and back important policies to progressives like women and LGBT rights. In addition, President Obama stated that Israeli security is a top priority and they have the right and obligation to protect themselves, using the bully pulpit to get Israeli protection on the public agenda and making sure everyone's on the same page. At the meeting, they went beyond their oppositions to the nuclear deal and resentment towards each other and met with generosity and peace. In addition, the Prime Minister said he's committed to a two-state solution, very different from what he said when he was running for Prime Minister and was criticized on it, showing the watchdog role of the media, looking out for President Obama and trusting the Prime Minister.
Recently, the University of Missouri has been under the media's eye after lack of action by school president Tim Wolf. Under Wolf, many racially disturbing incidents have happened, with Wolf ignoring racial prejudice apparent at the school by other students. Students thus went public in order to force change within the school system. In 2010, 2 white students scattered cotton balls outside the school's Black Cultural Center. The killing of Mike Brown, about 120 miles away, also sparked racial conversation across the campus in 2014. In more recent campus incidents, on September 12th, student government president Peyton Head uses Facebook to broadcast his frustration with bigotry, anti-homosexual, and anti-transgender attitudes at the school, after people riding in the back of a pickup truck screamed racial slurs at him. On October 4th, a drunken white student disrupts an African-American student group, the Legion of Black Collegians, preparing for homecoming activities and uses a racial slur when they asked him to leave. On October 10th, in a pivotal incident, protesters blocked Wolf's car during the Missouri homecoming parade to voice their concerns. Wolf doesn't respond to any of their complaints, and his car taps a protester, making passions along the campus even worse. On October 20th, the student group Concerned Students 1950, named for the year African American students were first admitted to the university, issued a list of demands. Among them including an apology from Wolf, his removal from office, and a more comprehensive racial awareness and inclusion curriculum overseen by minority students and faculty. On October 24th, someone uses feces to draw a swastika on the wall of a residence hall. Similar incidents have occurred at the school with using ashes, according to the Columbia Daily Tribune. On November 3rd, a student, Jonathan Butler, launches a hunger strike, saying Mr. Wolf had ample opportunity to create policies and reform that could shift the culture of Mizzou in a positive direction, but in each scenario, he failed to do so. The next day, a student boycott in support of Butler begins. November 8th, Black football players announced they won't practice or play until Wolf is removed, potentially making the university lose up to $1 million. The athletic department, Coach Gary Picknell, and many white players quickly announced their support of this protest. The next day, Missouri Student Association Executive Cabinet calls for Wolf's resignation, saying the system's administration has undeniably failed us. Hours later, Wolf announces his resignation. Since the resignation of Wolf's, tensions at the school have risen, with many African American students leaving the campus because they feel unsafe. Threats to their safety have been made on the site Yik Yak, as well as tweets being made about students being followed by pickup trucks.
Our last national news story is with Senator Ted Cruz and his father's story about fighting for Castro during the Cuban Revolution. On Monday, the New York Times, Cuban peers dispute Ted Cruz's father's story of fighting in the Cuban Revolution during the 1950s. In his campaign, Ted Cruz uses the story of his father fighting as a rebel leader with firebombs and running guns to boost his quote-unquote fight for liberty idea and gives him emotional power in his campaign. In addition, his father is a supporting figure in his campaign. However, through investigative reporting, we're finding that his father's story is fabricated. For example, Mr. Cruz was not there when Frank Pais, a hero of the revolution, was killed in 1956. He was actually killed 7 months later and in a very different way. Also, Senator Cruz's father wasn't a rebel leader. However, he was one of the people that marched and wrote on walls, a quote-unquote wishful thinker of the revolution, according to Leonard Astrucci, a student leader. No one disputes that Cruz was arrested. However, there are different explanations for his bloody arrest, proving that his story could be false, and showing the watchdog role of the media. None of the people Mr. Cruz fought with during the revolution prove his story to be true, showing how investigative reporting can be helpful in uncovering hidden evidence. This story shows how Cruz is using false evidence only to boost his campaign.
As we're approaching the end of this November, we already know it's time for those turkeys. So now, everyone, get out your forks, get out those turkey basters, bring the stuffing to the table, and let's talk about some real news.
And for our local news, Monterey Park's Brightwood Elementary students had the opportunity to meet the 2 turkeys before President Obama pardoned them the day before Thanksgiving. This tradition started with President Truman, except he ate them. Why do they have 2 turkeys? Just in case one gets upset or ill-mannered and starts acting like a diva. For now, the turkeys are named Tom 1 and Tom 2. However, the students offered other names like Party and Animal, Lucky and Clucky, or Lunch and Dinner. That's my favorite one. Now, how is this in the news, you may ask? Well, because it's entertaining and timely. 2 of the primary factors of how things get in the news.
On November 10th, in editorial news at New York Times by Fernando Vergara, Colombia's gay adoption ruling marked the elimination of a discriminatory practice in the adoption process of Colombia. In a 6-2 decision, the Constitutional Court found that barring gay people from adopting had unreasonably deprived children of the right to be raised by families. The decision was the latest victory for gay activists in Colombia who have challenged discriminatory policies in a string of smartly litigated cases. The ruling will make it easier for gay individuals and couples to adopt children in state foster care. It also will allow people to be legally recognized as the parent of a same-sex partner's biological child. Anticipating criticism from political and religious leaders, the justices wrote that doubts and fears about whether society is ready to accept this decision won't be dissipated by being blind to an irrefutable reality. The judges argued that there was no evidence that same-sex couples were unfit parents and no compelling reason to bar them from the universe of potential adoptive families. Wednesday's decision sparked criticism from Catholic Church leaders, who argued that the issue should have been decided by Congress or approved in a referendum. While some Colombian lawmakers have introduced bills seeking to expand the rights of gay people, those initiatives have stalled. By going through the political process and litigation, the people of Colombia were able to change the law and impact the political agenda. Even with the criticism of the Catholic Church, the law of Colombia faced inevitable change, making the country far more progressive. Now, more children will be able to find permanent homes at a great time. Before signing off, we'd like to wish a good luck to Missouri Tigers football team. With all the turmoil they're facing on their campus, we hope you have a great game Saturday, November 14th at 4:30 before you guys face the BYU Cougars. Coach Gary Picknell, we know you were supporting the boys when they went on strike, and now they're going to support you before you guys face the Cougars. Before signing off, we just want to get you guys in the mind of what November is truly about. This month is Peanut Butter Lovers Month, National Good Nutrition Month, National Pepper Month, so everyone make sure to season your food right, National Sleep Comfort Month. Guys, make sure you're getting enough sleep. This is Justyce and Nia, signing off of RNS News. Remember, we put the real gov in government.